This ball is crushed.
You're listening to the New York Yankees Recaps Podcast, where we're talking New York Yankees baseball all season long. Recaps of big games, the best home run calls, trades, rumors, and what's happening down on the farm. Every game, all season long.
So we finally got the much-awaited penalty phase of the Astros cheating scandal. It breaks down like this. You've probably heard by now, but Jeff Luhnow, the Astros GM, general manager, and the manager, A.J. Hinch, who was also the manager in 2017, have both been suspended for 1 year by Major League Baseball. They were subsequently fired by Astros owner Jim Crane, and you have to presume that they are now toxic persona non grata to baseball clubs all over the planet, really. I mean, maybe A.J. Hinch can manage the St. Paul Saints or something like that. But he's done in Major League Baseball. Also, the guy who was actually doing the video, his name was Lumpkin, I believe, some nobody, put on Major League Baseball's ineligible list, which means he can't be hired by any other club. So his career in baseball is essentially over. Was this a harsh enough penalty? I don't know. I've seen a mixed bag of reactions. Michael Kay, for instance, on Yes right now is saying that this is the most harsh penalty in baseball in history. I would disagree with that. I think Pete Rose got it worse. I think the 1919 Black Sox got it worse. Suspended for life. But this is pretty bad. I mean, in addition to those two guys getting suspended and effectively getting fired over this, they also got fined $5 million, the organization, which is not a ton for the Astros. Also, the Astros were docked their first 2 draft picks for each of the next 2 seasons. So that's going to hurt them going forward. But as for next year's team, all they're really losing is their GM and their manager. They've also lost a significant amount of prestige. Their reputation has been wounded. You got to believe that that's part of the reason, aside from the $5 million fine, that Jim Crane has replaced both the manager and the general manager. More on the Houston Asterix in just a minute, but as for the Red Sox and their manager, Alex Cora, they're not out of the woods yet. Alex Cora, in this report, was the guy who procured the video screen outside of the dugout, outside of the clubhouse. And he was kind of the main ringleader amongst the staff for all of this. Now, Carlos Beltran was also involved, but he was a player. So Rob Manfred has announced that he will not take any action against the players that were caught up in this. And more on that in just a minute, even though that Beltran is a manager now. But Alex Cora's suspension has not been handed down yet. It's coming. And it's going to be harsh, according to Jeff Passan, who broke this story. He has sources that expect it to be quite serious. So I think this could be the end of Alex Cora's run in Boston as well. So this is kind of, you're taking out the knees of the 2 biggest competitors to the New York Yankees in 2019. And, when you combine that with how strong the Yankees have gotten this season with the addition of Garrett Cole, presumably the new training staff will keep some of these guys on the field. You're getting Andujar back. You're getting Severino back. I feel like the American League is the Yankees to lose at this point. So I digress. We'll get back into the punishments here. I'd be interested to see what Alex Cora's punishment is. It'll probably be the same as Jeff Luhnow and A.J. Hinch, a year suspension. And the precedent has been set by the Astros owner, Jim Crane, that if you get suspended for this type of thing, you're going to get fired because it taints the image of your organization. And the Red Sox are not clean by any means here. They were reportedly using technology to steal signs during the 2018 postseason, a postseason in which they won the World Series. So in back-to-back postseasons, 2017 and 2018, the New York Yankees were eliminated by a team that is now caught up in a cheating scandal for which probably 3 members, maybe 4 of different organizations now are going to be suspended for essentially life, because you're going to be suspended for the season, and then you're going to be a persona non grata, as I mentioned. What organization is going to take you in and try and sell you to their fans? Look, I know he was a cheater in the past. I know he was a cheater with the Astros or with the Red Sox, but he's all on the level now. Come on, that's not going to happen. The Astros may not be that affected because, after all, it is the players that sort of, make a team what it is. Coaching is a big part of it, but coaches can be replaced. If they had Altuve or Springer suspended for the year, that would be a bigger deal. If you suspended Justin Verlander for a year, that would be a big deal. But we've seen managers replace other managers and win a World Series the next year. So the manager doesn't make that much of a difference after spring training. Spring training, you're getting used to everybody. And I think they'll go with somebody in-house, probably because it's just an easier transition. A new manager wouldn't have time to prepare. I mean, I'm sure if you call up Gabe Kapler now and you say, hey, Cap, we want you to manage the Astros this year or manage the Red Sox, I'm sure he would jump at the opportunity, even though he doesn't have a ton of time to get ready. But it wouldn't be a smart move. You're setting yourself up for failure at that point. So I think they'll hire somebody who's been on the Major League staff, perhaps somebody who was not on the staff during the 2017 postseason run, just to kind of clear the air and create kind of a new sense around the team. But it's still going to, this stench is going to follow the Astros for years, if not decades, depending on whether or not they win again. I'm sure their players are going to be motivated to come back and win this season to prove that they were able to win on their own. But the fact is they weren't able to win on their own. They cheated. I still believe, just as a Yankees fan, and granted, I'm biased because my team lost to the Astros, I think the Astros should have vacated that title, or that it should have gone to the Dodgers. Honestly, I don't know if you can give it to the Dodgers because I feel like a championship has to be earned on the field. It has to be won on the field. But it can be lost off the field, as we've seen, with gold medals and people being stripped in the Olympics of titles because of, doping and things like that. Lance Armstrong had to vacate several of his titles. Now, we still have the memories of Lance Armstrong winning those titles. We still know Lance Armstrong's name. He still made all his money off of book sales. So it doesn't take away everything, but it definitely hurts the fans. The Astros don't have any other world championships to reflect on. So, it would be tough for their fans to be like, well, we had that one World Series in 2017. Oh, that's right. So, I don't think the penalties were harsh enough. I feel like, even though this is a de facto ban from baseball for these 3 guys, or these 2 guys on the Astros and probably one from the Red Sox, I feel like it was not harsh enough. Carlos Beltran, he was heavily involved in this, even as a player. He was another ringleader. So he should be punished as well. I don't care if you're a player or you've moved on to another club. If you cheat, you need to be suspended or fined at least. At least. These guys make enough money. Fine them and use it, use the money to give to the Boys and Girls Club of America or something like that. I would feel bad for the Mets a little bit if their new manager got suspended and had to be fired right away. And you hate to see guys who've been in baseball their entire lives, guys like Alex Cora or guys like Carlos Beltran, be tainted in this way, because they weren't always cheaters. But they were when it mattered, and they were on the biggest stage when the whole world was watching. So I actually just looked it up. The other person who got suspended was the Astros assistant GM, Brandon Taubman. I thought it was the video guy, but it's actually Taubman, who's their assistant GM, who's kind of a prick. I mean, I've seen interviews with this guy. He's very much a prick, and he's been put on the ineligible list for life, presumably. A lot of people on like Reddit and Twitter right now are saying that this is not a harsh enough penalty. You know, I agree for the most part. It feels kind of like a slap on the wrist to me. I mean, so you're losing your GM and you're losing your manager. What happens about this awesome team you've got put together? What about this championship banner you have hanging? Sure, that championship has a asterisk next to it forever now. Forever. But still got a ring. The players don't have to give their rings back. I don't know if they would have to, even if they vacated the title. But they would certainly lose the recognition as a world champion. Which is, to me, the highest recognition you can get other than the Hall of Fame. World champion. Especially the first world championship with your franchise. And they've tainted that forever. I'm just glad that the Yankees were not mixed up in this. I mean, yeah, it sucks to be the victim of a cheating scandal. It sucks to be robbed of a potential World Series appearance. But I feel like the path has been cleared for the Yankees next season. As long as they don't have a ton of injuries or nothing else goes wrong, you know, there's no telling what could go wrong. A freaking plague could hit and wipe out half the team. Who knows? I wouldn't doubt it with what happened last year. I was waiting for locusts. But the Astros are definitely going to be, while they'll be motivated next season, they're going to be hamstrung a little bit. And they're not going to get those draft picks, so their window is going to be shrunk quite a bit. Not that those draft picks were going to be much anyway, because they were going to pick at the end of those rounds. So I'm a little disappointed that nobody was banned for life, but effectively they are banned from life for life. Who's going to hire these guys now? I wouldn't if I were running a major league team. But then again, I don't run a team. Yankees Hot Stove is going to have a special 1-hour episode tonight to talk about this scandal. I was going to be working out in the gym tonight, so that'll give me something to put on while I'm doing that. How do you think Greg Bird feels? He was such a big part of that 2017 postseason. He hit the big home run off of Indians reliever Andrew Miller, former Yankee. Miller, that's a tough word for me to say for some reason. And then he homers a couple times against the Astros in the postseason, in the ALCS, but you lose. He could have been a series MVP if the Yankees had won that series. He could have carried the Yankees to the World Series. Now he's out of baseball. I feel like despite the injuries, if he had carried the Yankees to the World Series, he might still be in the organization, trying to work his way back. So, I mean, it's just a heartbreaking thing. It's bad for the game. You hate to see it. As Joe Girardi would say, it's not what you want. And you don't want to win this way if you're a Yankee fan. But how do you feel as a Red Sox or a Astros fan now? Your teams have been mixed up in cheating scandals. Do you feel good about those victories? Do you feel good about saying that Yankee fans are saying to Yankees fans, you guys buy all your championships? Well, at least we don't cheat. So, you know, it ticks me off. Anyway, this was an abbreviated podcast, but thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.